Hey guys, back here with Tua for another video. Update pup date time, 15 months. If you're new to this channel, I do these types of videos every single month as my Bullmastiff Tua turns another month older. Just to kind of update you guys on the progress. I used to do these weekly as he was growing much faster from pretty much the day I brought him home, up until the present time. And I just do these to try and create a great log of information for anybody that might be interested in the Bullmastiff breed. I touch on all kinds of things on what you could possibly expect if you got one, such as his growth, behavior, just anything that I think would be of note on what to expect if you were interested in the breed. Usually right away to start these videos, I just start with new things that stuck out from the month. And then I go ahead and touch on the main things that I always do, which are growth, his height and his weight I update you guys on, food, what I'm feeding him, socialization, what I'm doing to socialize him, drooling, and then his energy levels. So if you're interested in learning more about the Bullmastiff breed, go ahead, check out all my previous videos, and stick around for this one. Okay guys, so like usual, we'll just go ahead and get started with the new or noteworthy stuff from the month. And I'm just right away going to go ahead and hit on the elk antler versus the beef bone update. Last month when I did the 14-month update video, I told you guys we got him some new chew toys. He's destroying any kind of soft chew toys that we give him, so I'm always on the lookout for like different kind of hard chew toys. And I actually bought like this $40 elk antler one off of Amazon, and then I also found an Olroy beef bone chew at Walmart for only $4. And at the time, last month, they were both holding up about the same. I said I wasn't really sure if the elk antler would be worth it in the long run with that price tag. And here's how that elk antler is holding up now. This would be after 2 months of consistent chewing. It's still holding up really good. But I still don't know like if that $40 price tag is worth it, because here's how the $4 beef bone is also holding up after about the same thing, about 2 months worth of pretty much daily chewing from him. These are still his two favorite ones, and they're both slowly getting worn for sure, and they're both holding up though at the same time for sure. But $40 versus $4. I will say now though that after 2 months with that elk antler, and it is still holding up so well, that if your dog absolutely loves this and it's like the only thing that you can get your dog to chew on, then I would say yeah, it's probably worth it, because the way it's going, it's probably going to last at least another 2-3 months for sure. And if that's like the only thing you can get your dog to chew on, then I would say absolutely worth the price tag. You're probably going to get a good 6 months out of it before you'd have to get another one, and then you could kind of have your dog chewing consistently for an entire year for like $80. So depending on your situation, could definitely be worth it. I don't know if I'm going to continue to get more, because he seems to like this $4 beef bone just as much. But we'll go ahead and just see how that goes. Definitely a good product though, that elk antler and the beef bone as well. Just really kind of depends on what your dog likes. Another thing from the month is we ended up getting a Roomba vacuum cleaner. And I made a little quick video on Tua's reaction to it when we first got it. It was one of the first runs we did with it. And if you haven't seen that video, you're interested at all, go ahead, check it out. Just a little quick kind of funny one. But typical to Tua and the Bullmastiff breed, like it doesn't really seem to bother him. I mean, he's curious at times, but nothing too crazy. Definitely not scared like maybe some breeds of dogs would be, or just dogs in general. He'll sniff it at times, and that's about it. Kind of walk around and just look at it. But kind of funny that this doesn't bother him whatsoever. And then the last kind of new thing from the month, just kind of another funny thing, is my wife sent me a couple pictures when I was at work. She said our youngest daughter, Peyton, kind of disappeared for a good 5 or 10 minutes, and my wife does home daycare, so she couldn't get to her immediately, but she went searching for her and went up to her room, and this is what she found. Peyton actually crawled in the crate with Tua and was just hanging out with him, and they were just two peas in a pod in there. My wife says she's not, exactly sure how long she was in there, but, it could have been a few minutes to maybe 10 minutes. And just kind of shows you how bull mastiffs are with kids once they kind of get out of that initial puppy stage or teenager phase. He stayed in there with her. She closed the door, but obviously didn't lock it behind her. She couldn't lock it from inside. And they were just hanging out there, doing who knows what. But just kind of a funny incident and a couple pictures that I wanted to share with you guys as well. But now we'll go ahead and get started with the things that we touch on every single week, that are the consistent things that we touch on every single, well, I said week, I mean month. The consistent things that we touch on every single month. And we'll start with growth like we usually do for these topics. Tua was 138 pounds in the 14-month update pup date video. He's now 140, so he gained a measly 2 pounds. And I say measly because if you guys are regular viewers of this and you watched all my update pup date videos going from, when he was very young up to a year, he was putting on 4 or 5 pounds a week, which means, 16 to 20 pounds a month. So his growth has, drastically slowed down, which is to be expected. I think between month 13 and 14, he put on 3 or 3.5 pounds. And now between month 14 and 15, we're up 2 pounds. So, that's about right where he should be and will be going forward until he quits growing pretty much altogether. And I still feel like he's, pretty fairly lean and athletic for a bull mastiff, which to me means he's got a lot more filling out to do. His dad was 150 pounds, and with Tua now being 15 months old, these dogs are supposed to kind of continue putting on weight to age 2, possibly even 3. I'm starting to think that he could, maybe push to be a 160-pound dog, because like I said, with him still kind of being on the leaner side, I feel like he's got a lot more filling out to do. I could be way off with that. I mean, 10 pounds is still a lot to gain from here, and 20 pounds would be quite a bit more. But I wouldn't be shocked if he went up and over that 150. I would say maybe 160 would be where he tops out, but we'll see. And the reason I say that is because he is on the taller side for a bull mastiff. I'll go ahead and get right into height now. Height for the last couple of months has been at 29.5 inches, which is very tall for a bull mastiff. In general, the males, should touch maybe 28 inches at most if you're looking at like a breed standard. And I got him measured in again just now. And I had him right at about 29.5 again, as you guys can see here. And if I can get him to stand up, real nice and tall and hold still, I might go ahead and say that it's actually like 29.75. But we'll go ahead and just call it 29.5 because it really is kind of difficult to judge. I'm just eyeballing it kind of by myself, basically, with a yardstick. And, he's constantly moving around, and I can't really get him to sit completely still. And as soon as I'm really trying to get a nice accurate eyeball of this yardstick, he'll move. But I mean, as you guys saw, about 29.5 inches is where he's at. So yeah, definitely interesting that he's that tall, because his mom and his dad were both shorter than that. So it's just kind of one of those things where, just like with people, you have two parents that are 5'10", and all of a sudden one of the kids hits 6'5" because maybe great-great-grandpa or something was tall back in the day. Who knows? Now I'll go ahead and go on to food. If you guys are regular viewers of the channel, you know that I do a split of raw food, meat and vegetables, sometimes fruit, and his kibble. And I've been doing a 50-50 split between raw food and kibble for a long time. And I would say this last month, I kind of started to up that, increase the raw meat and food a little bit. I'd say this month I was pretty consistently about a 60-40 to a 65-35 split. So definitely continuing to up that raw food. And kind of something to note with this from the month also. As I've upped this raw food, there is times where I won't feed him raw food for, a couple days if we're really busy with work or something and I can't get to the store to get him some and we'll run out. We'll just feed him his kibble for, 2, 3, 4 meals in a row. And the last few times that's happened where we've given him, a few meals, like a breakfast, dinner, and then a breakfast, he's thrown up, like in our backyard. And usually not immediately after eating either. Usually it's several hours later. And I'm not sure if that's just coincidence. I would say in the last few months it's happened maybe a few times. but it seems to be, and maybe I'm overthinking this, but it seems to be only after he's done, 2, 3, 4 meals in a row of just his kibble. So I don't know if that's his system is now getting used to mostly raw food, and when we feed him kibble, that's screwing his system up, or if he's eating that kibble so quickly, swallowing it whole, which he tends to do, that's screwing his stomach up and making him throw it up. Could be a number of things, and it also could just be coincidence. But who knows? Raw food for this month that we did feed him was ground turkey, ground beef, pork loin, chicken gizzards, chicken wings with the bones and all. Remember, chicken bones are just fine for a dog as long as they are not cooked. If they are raw chicken bones, they're just fine. The dog can chew them up, the dog can swallow them whole, they'll get digested, no problem. When they're cooked, it can become an issue. Chicken breast, chicken liver, beef liver, raw eggs, blueberries, and carrots. I always say, do your own research with raw food. If you're interested at all, ask me questions. Like I always say, I'm definitely not an expert in raw food, but I'm starting to learn a lot and continuing to do research. And there's just many, many, many benefits of feeding your dog. Even just a split of raw food and kibble like I do gives them lots of good nutrients that they don't normally get through their kibble. And if you're not comfortable doing it, then don't do it. But I'm not going to push anything on anybody. But definitely at least kind of look into raw food a little bit and see what you think. I know my mind was kind of blown the more research that I did with it. I have had many dogs in the past, fed them just kibble my whole life, and Tua is the first dog that I've experimented with a raw food diet, and I'm really enjoying it, and he seems to be reacting great to it. So yeah, definitely look into it. Socialization is the next thing that we'll touch on. This was actually a pretty good month for it, considering how cold we are here in the middle of winter. We got out on a few walks on some of the nicer days. We got into Home Depot twice. We got into PetSmart twice. So he was exposed to lots of new people, which is great. He absolutely loves people, almost to a fault, I would say. He gets so excited for people to pet him, and he just kind of turns into a big puppy when he sees new people, to be honest, or even people that he knows and hasn't seen in a while. That's why I kind of say almost to a fault. He almost gets too excited. But give him a good 10 or 15 minutes and he calms down and just goes back to kind of walking around slow and being back to normal after that. I will say, though, that I'm really struggling to expose him to new dogs over the last few months. And part of that reason is just because our weather here in North Dakota, it's been so cold the last few months, so there's not many people out walking their dogs like there usually is when we're out on walks. And even when I've gone into PetSmart, over the last few months, there's not much for dogs in there either. And kind of another issue I'm noticing as far as like getting him exposed to dogs is Tua is so big now that it seems like people are kind of staying away from us, like they don't know if he's mean or what. So even when I've had a couple opportunities in PetSmart or the rare occasion on a walk now this winter where I've seen a dog, they kind of do the cross the street before we can get to him to not be by him. So I don't know if it's a their dog thing or if they're actually scared of his size or what, but I'm kind of thinking it's his size. So I hope that this doesn't turn out to be like an issue. Like he hasn't seen much for strange dogs over the last few months this winter, and then this spring when we'll have plenty of opportunities at parks and stuff when the weather is nicer to expose him to new dogs if his temperament has changed towards new dogs. I really hope it doesn't. We did a really good job exposing him to tons and tons of dogs when he was younger, but he is still growing, and going 2-3 months without any like great interaction with new dogs has me a little bit nervous. But we'll go ahead and just see how that pans out this spring. Drooling is another thing that I touch on. And this is kind of a main big topic when people are considering a bull mastiff. They want to know how much they drool because all mastiff breeds are known as droolers. And with Tua, he's definitely no exception to that. He is a drooler. However, I'll say, like I always do, 90% of that and the worst of it is related to immediately after he's drinking water. If I have him waiting for his food, that drool will start pouring out as well. And now in the wintertime lately when he's coming inside from outside, he loves the snow. He loves to eat the snow. He'll come in drooling because he's been eating snow, which then turns into the water in his mouth, and then that basically turns into the same situation as if he was drinking water. He'll also do some drooling, you know, if he's hot and panting like in the summertime, or if he gets stressed out or very excited, some drool will form and kind of start dripping down. But most of it is related to that mealtime or immediately after drinking. It's definitely not something that I think about all day, every day. It's just certain situations when the drooling is noticeable and worse. But you know, just wipe it up immediately after mealtime and water time, and it hasn't been a massive deal for me. Maybe I've been lucky with Tua. Maybe he doesn't drool as much as some bull mastiffs, but it's definitely not a massive issue for me. He doesn't just wake up in the morning with drool hanging out of his mouth, have drool hanging out of his mouth all day, go to sleep with drool hanging out of his mouth, just certain situations, and that's it. So it hasn't been a big deal for me, but maybe my situation is unique. Another thing that I touch on every single month is his energy. And in the last video, the 14-month pup date video, I said that it was the most significant drop-off of energy to date that he had between that 13 and 14-month range. And I would say it didn't really drop off anymore. You know, it stayed about the same. And it still continues to be pretty much down when he's inside, but when we're outside, you know, that's when it's high. That's when he wants to run around and sprint, you know, for 10, maybe 15 minutes and play and jump and do all that kind of stuff. And especially now, like, he absolutely loves the snow. If we get a fresh dusting of snow or something, for whatever reason, that snow just gets him fired up. He's super high energy in it, wants to play, run around, jump. I actually made a video of him after a recent blizzard we had here just in the last week, and he was doing some running around and just kind of being crazy. It was pretty funny. Go ahead, check that one out if you haven't seen it, if you're interested at all. But like I've said many times on this channel, he's kind of had these two windows during the day when his energy is higher, and it's kind of the first few hours after we wake up and kind of the last few hours of the day, you know, maybe an hour or two before, hour or two after dinner time. And otherwise, during the middle of the day, he's pretty lazy. If he's not sleeping, he's just laying around by us, or just kind of slowly walking around the house, looking at stuff, chewing on toys, you know, whatever, hanging out by the kids or whatever, but definitely not high during the day. When it is high, it's just kind of in the morning or at night. And like I said, that between that 13 and 14 month was very significant drop off. The last thing that I touch on is his barking. Is he a barker? Bull Mastiffs are not really known to be barkers, but I would say that Tua has this one situation, like I always say, where he is a barker, and that's in our backyard, and that's about it. He doesn't bark when we're out on walks. He doesn't bark if we're in the front yard. He doesn't bark if we're in the car or anything like that. The only time that he barks is when he's in our backyard. And he kind of just will bark at almost anything that he's hearing that he doesn't know. I've speculated about this in the past in these videos many times. I think a big reason, well, two reasons, I guess, is the backyard he feels like is his domain, his territory, and he needs to protect it. But I think maybe the biggest reason is our backyard is, you know, completely fenced in. And it's privacy fence style, big panels, so he can't see on the other side of it really. So when he's hearing noises and stuff, he has no idea what it is, and he feels like he needs to let out barks to warn whatever it is that, you know, I'm here, don't come in here kind of thing. And it's very strange to me. That's the only time that he barks. He seems to be protective of the backyard, and that's it. Even when we're inside, he usually won't bark if he, you know, sees a dog or hears a dog or anything like that. He might let out some little wolves, but not completely barking. So kind of interesting. But that's all I have from the week, guys. As usual, if there's anything that you would like me to update you guys on that I don't already, let me know and I will do my best to do that. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys. 15-month pup date video. You guys have a good rest of your day and take care.